Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I'm your host. I feel really far away from the camera. I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, small law firm in central Minnesota. Let me move in a little closer. Just a second. It's a little bit better. What is happening? Oh, I must have messed something up. Small law firm in central Minnesota. Today we are talking about Jim Acosta. I was going to make a stupid pun. It's in the title. You know, like I'm going to Acosta you or Acosta Trump or whatever we want to say there. We're going to talk about Jim Acosta in just a second. But I need to do a couple things real quick because you could blame Lady Rackets. It's all Lady Rackets' fault. I was holding a baby who will not go to sleep, and Lady Rackets was, I thought, not home. I thought she was not home, but she is. So that was nice. But in light of that, I have to grab the Acosta documents real quick. So if you'll bear with me for just a moment, I'm going to get them. And yes, I know CNN has put them out, but I am going to grab them from Pacer because Pacer might have something that CNN didn't publish or whoever. And I just want to see what we've got. What do we got? Acosta. None of these are them. His name isn't James Acosta, is it? Oh, gosh. Hold on. What a disaster this is. This is the type of professionalism and competency that you can all expect here at Rekieta Law. All right. Let's let me read a couple of these super chats real quick, and then we'll get into this. Michael O'Sullivan says, I just got accepted at Duke Law today. Whoa, congratulations, man. That's awesome. Thanks for the good times I got through this past year of applications. Cheers, buddy. That's great. Enjoy it. Learn a lot. Darth Bobcat says Zaid should represent CNN. Vladimir M. Ivanovich says, shut up and take my speech. Yes, I will. I will take all of your speech. Mithran Emrys says, if a press pass is a First Amendment right, where's mine? And we're gonna actually cover that today. What's this dummy's real name? Jim Acosta. Yeah. Abilio Acosta. What? Let's see if we can find him here. Oh, it's much easier to find. Wait, he's not even in here. All right. I give up. Hold on. It's not even... can't even find it on Pacer. Hold on. Someone sent this to me. Where is it? Why is this such a disaster? I know I'm not supposed to blame Lady Rackets, but I do in some ways do that. So, GR People says, as Ethan's official lawyer man, you may command this shock trooper. Oh. Oh, I don't know. Don't cause any trouble. How's that? So let me, while I'm doing this, I am going to talk about what's coming up. This week has gotten really interesting really quickly. Where did I get these stupid... You know what? I'm just going to Google the Acosta sues Trump, because I know it's like right on CNN. The legal battle. You can read the full lawsuit here. Oh, good. Oh, good. Here we go. Cable news network. Yeah, it's in the Central District of Columbia. It's in District of Columbia. Why isn't it on Pacer yet? Maybe they haven't filed it. Let me check one more thing here. Woo! Never mind. Don't look for all the lawsuits involving the cable news network. I'll just take it from CNN here. Just a second. Let me oh my gosh. Just give me the actual document. Wow. You know, you never really realize how inefficient your process for all of this stuff is until you're doing it live in front of a bunch of people. Oh my gosh. Okay, the magic's about to happen. It's about to happen. Come on. Do we have it? Do we have it? Where? Oh, I apologize for being the absolute flipping worst at this. It's right. Okay, Streamlabs is annoying sometimes. I know what happened. Here we go. There we go. There we go. I apologize to all of you good people. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm only 10,000 years old, and that will explain it. Okay. Okay. Darth Bobcat says, short for Jimsky, Akostovich, Russian interference. Mithrin Emrys says, I think due process argument is better. Still seems like a heck of a stretch, but better. And Ryan says, how's it going, Rekieta? Abilio and CNN are crying over their press pass and whacking themselves off with the fact that they got it revoked. We got our press pass revoked. Woe is us. Woe is us. Okay. So let me talk about this coming week, or the rest of this week real quick, and then we'll jump into this stupid document. And then I'm going to talk to you about the existing law on the subject, because believe it or not, this happened back in the 70s. Sort of. Something close. It's never the same. Something close to this happened back in the 70s. We're going to talk about that. One other thing I want to mention is that if you notice at the top, there is the Justice Chat. The Justice Chat is an alternate way to Super Chat that doesn't give YouTube any money. So we like that because YouTube is terrible. And they are shutting down people that I am friends with and that I like. So please feel free to use that option. It's the streamlabs.com/Rekieta Law. And of course, I don't have the chat. I don't have it in the description, but I can in just a second because I like to have an easy link to click. So we'll do that real quick. Here we go. And I apologize, guys. I really do for being so disorganized. I hate not being prepared for these shows. And I did prepare earlier, but I mean not technically prepared. I am actually researched and ready to go. So that That should now be in the chat or in the description if you refresh your page. Okay. Speaking of that, Loose for Love Monkey sent $5 through Streamlabs. Thank you, sir. He said, did you get the things I sent you? I did. Loose for Love Monkey sent me some lovely books. She-Hulk, and She-Hulk. Thank you, I think. I will be going through, because I just learned that She-Hulk is a lawyer, and I will be going through She-Hulk's legal statements and seeing if there's anything worth worth mentioning in there. And, oh yeah, and if you have anything extra spicy to say, thanks Cult of Krill for saying Acosta is trash. If you have anything extra spicy to say, might I recommend the Justice Chats, because I don't think that YouTube is censoring those at current. And so the spicy stuff can go right through there if you think there's any doubt. Acosta is trash. All right. And finally, Mithrin Emmer says at CNN, you don't get to see the doc until you go through 100 ads and 5 articles about fear of Trump and his white supremacy. Just a free company, right? But, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lose for Love Monkey, for the reading material. We'll be enjoying it, and then we will find a suitable end for it, and I will video that suitable end as well. Okay, so here's a scoop. Tomorrow is Russell Greer Chapter 5, Why I Sued Taylor Swift. Sriracha is back. It will be Sriracha and I. We will be reading through Chapter 5. It'll be joyous and glorious. Please join us. It'll be fun. It's always fun to read Russell Greer's book. Then Thursday, a certain voice actress by the name of Tara Strong is really, really offended that someone would post her video that she posted and subsequently deleted. So she has threatened legal action against a Twitter account and blog, as far as I can tell, by the name of Anime Outsiders. I don't know who Anime Outsiders are. Not a sight to them. I don't know who anybody is. So I saw that they were getting pressure from Tara Strong. So we're going to talk to Anime Outsiders on Thursday. We're going to watch the video because Tara Strong doesn't want people to watch it. And we'll talk about her legal claims. And I'll just get to meet these guys. That should be a really fun stream. So please join us for that too. That should be a blast as well. And Tara... and if you don't know, like, Tara Strong is the Canadian-born voice actress who is, I believe, now an American citizen, who was lecturing some immigrant about not being born here. I don't even know specifically. But if it came from a celebrity, even a minor celebrity, and they were yelling at someone about politics, you know it was spot-on analysis. And so we're going to have some fun with it. All right, so that's the rest of this week. And then the Friday live stream will not happen. I will not be around Friday night, so it will not happen. But Saturday we'll have the live stream, and I'll announce it. It will probably be at the same 11 p.m. Central, but that will be another big brain panel. It will be myself. It'll be Grand Admiral C, who is the guy who drank like 14 gallons of vodka on the last stream. And it will also be Keon Magana. Keon, the legendary California lawyer with the Fabio looks and the deep voice, will be joining us, and we will have a big brain panel, and I'll come up with some sort of topic for us to discuss, and we'll be open to questions. So, that said, that is the schedule for the week. Let's jump into this document and start having fun. And if the question comes up, I'm drinking Whistle Pig to start. I don't know where I'll finish. I also have some sweet tea for between whiskey drinks. Okay. Oh, yeah, and Patreon and Twitter are right there. I wish I could make them links for you, but I can't. But all my social media is down in the description. Let's talk about this, though. Cable News Network and Abilio James Acosta. Plaintiffs versus Donald Trump, John Kelly, William Schein, Sarah Saunders, and United States Secret Service. There we go. Oh, also, Randolph Alice, who is the director of the Secret Service, and John Doe, the Secret Service agent, who had so much to do with this. Clay, this is not going to give me diabetes. This is actually not sugar. There's not sugar in here. It's sucralose. Well, I mean, I know that is a sugar, but it's not like regular sugar. It's not the diabetes causing sugar. So no, I won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Complaint. Plaintiffs Cable News Network Incorporated and Abilio James Jim Acosta for their complaint against defendants Donald J. Trump and everybody else by and through their attorneys as follows. Allege as follows. Plaintiff Jim Acosta has been a journalist for more than 2 decades. For more than 5 years, Acosta has been CNN's national political correspondent, and since January 2018, he has been the network's chief White House correspondent. Acosta has covered the White House since 2012 and since 2013 has possessed press credentials often called a hard pass that allow him regular and unescorted access to the White House and White House briefings. He is widely reputed as a diligent and thorough reporter for one of the nation's most respected and widely watched networks. Well, I think that's a little self-congratulatory, right? Just go ahead and fluff yourself a little harder there, CNN. I disbelieve you. I don't call him diligent or thorough, and you have zero respect from me. But on November 7th, 2018, defendants revoked Acosta's White House credentials because, in the president's own words, Acosta failed to treat the White House with respect at a White House press briefing. No, didn't he also say you're a bad person? And CNN should be ashamed for employing you? Don't leave that out. Come on. Put it in there. You really, you should put that in there. That's funnier. And it's more sympathetic to you because you were dressed down by the White House, by the President of the United States personally on national television, looking like a fool, holding onto your microphone like a petulant baby. This severe and unprecedented punishment, it's not unprecedented. You know what's great? They're going to say it's unprecedented, and then they're going to come up with precedent for why he shouldn't have his press pass revoked. Silly. Is the culmination of years of hostility by President Trump against CNN and Acosta based on the contents of their reporting, an unabashed attempt to censor the press, and exclude reporters from the White House, exclude a reporter from the White House who challenge and dispute the president's point of view. The rest of the room challenges and disputes Trump's point of view. Only one of you dummies got thrown out. Just you, Jim. Just you. That should be a badge of honor for you. The press and the president should be enemies. They should be enemies. None of the circle jerkery that's been going on for the past how many Democrat administrations and even in some of the Republican administrations. No, enemies. I don't want the people telling me the truth to be friends with my government. Because I want the good story. I want the real story. Oh. While CNN and Acosta have been favorite targets of abuse by the administration. You think this is abuse? You should listen to, you should watch Glengarry Glen Ross. You think this is abuse? What about the abuse you get on a sit? While CNN and Acosta have been favorite targets of abuse by the administration, the president's criticism has been directed at other news organizations too. Also, say also. Or as well, not to. Other news organizations, to sounds weird, sounds informal. Say as well. The president has actively criticized and discredited any journalist or media outlet he believes might report something he considers negative. Yes, he should, right? And you should report it anyway. As the president explained to Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes, you know why I do it? I do it to discredit you all and demean you all, so when you write negative stories about me, no one will believe you. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is the stuff. This isn't infringing on the free press. This is the president exercising his free speech to disagree with the press's reporting, to offer his own narrative. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. But you can't deny him that. And you can't run around saying "muff free speech" when you're opposed to his. And the revocation of Acosta's credentials is only the beginning. As the president explained, there could be others also who get their credentials revoked. Yep, good. Revoke them all. Actually, that's a solution in this that they're not going to discuss. One option the president has is to revoke the entire press corps. Revoke the press pass of everybody. If he did it to everybody and they just shut down the White House press correspondence program, done. Nothing they can do. Nothing they can do. The framers of our Constitution, oh yeah, here you go. They didn't have a press pass, so shut up. Framers of our Constitution embraced a profound national commitment to the principle that debate on public issues should be uninhibited, robust, and wide open, and that it may well include vehement, caustic, and sometimes unpleasantly sharp attacks on government and public officials. And their retorts should be in brackets because they fully expected the public officials to bite back. That's New York Times versus Sullivan. The president lacks the authority to quash the sort of robust political debate encouraged by the First Amendment, debate that is bound to produce speech that is critical of those who hold public office. That is why the D.C. Circuit has been clear that the protection afforded news gathering under the First Amendment guarantee of freedom of the press requires that access to the White House press facilities not be denied arbitrarily or for less than compelling reasons. This is Cheryl versus Knight. Now, that's not the full story. This is the case we're going to focus on, is Cheryl versus Knight. It is their strongest case. It is the only case that really positively deals with the idea of some sort of right to the press pass. It is the controlling Supreme Court case on the subject, and I will be talking at length on that as we go. Get a prez that looks at you like Trump looks at Moroccan King. Was that the dude sleeping? That was brilliant. That would be me, passed out during whatever stupid speech was happening. So this is for not denied arbitrarily or for less than compelling reasons. And notice of the factual bases for denial of access to White House press facilities with an opportunity to rebut is a minimum prerequisite for ensuring that the denial is not based on arbitrary or less than compelling reasons. Here's the deal. The safety and security of the president and his immediate family is not only a compelling reason, a compelling government interest, it is an overwhelming government interest. And I'm sure that will be the basis upon which this revocation is based, but I don't actually know yet. And that might be part of the problem, and we'll discuss that. Plaintiffs bring this action to enforce this constitutional commitment, restore Acosta's well-deserved press credentials, and ensure that the press remains free to question the government and to report the business of the nation to the American people. Unless that press is Alex Jones, then what you do is you go out of your way, CNN, to find a way to show Twitter how Alex Jones was breaking their rules and get him deplatformed. And you don't stand up for Alex Jones being on, any platforms at all. Even though if you want someone questioning the credibility of the government, who better than the gay frog lizard people Alex Jones, Superman, to do that? To sit there and call out the demons and the hermaphrodites and the hypocrites in our government who have taken control. You guys oppose their free speech. This is why you don't have credibility. You're a bunch of cowards. You're just a bunch of, I don't know, I'd say profit chasing, but I can't imagine you're profitable. No one watches your show. Parties. Here's a problem. Oh, here is actually a problem. Plaintiff Abilio James, Jim Acosta, is chief White House correspondent for Cable News Network Incorporated and is a member of the White House Correspondents for CNN from 2012 to 2018, has been CNN's chief White House correspondent since January 9th, 2018. Acosta resides in New York State. Uh-oh. That's interesting. Very interesting. Plaintiff CNN, Division of Turner Broadcasting Systems, is a trusted source for news and information on television. Not by the White House, and not by a good percentage of Americans. The web and mobile devices. CNN reaches more individuals than any other cable television news organization in the United States. Oh, good. Oh, good. Defendant Donald J. Trump is the President of the United States. He is sued in his official capacity. John Kelly is Chief of Staff. William Shine is Deputy Chief of Staff for Communications. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is Press Secretary. United States Secret Service is a federal law enforcement agency that administers and oversees the security at the White House. Rudolph Ailes is director of the Secret Service, and John Doe is a service member who personally took away Acosta's White House press credentials, also known as a hard pass. The only hard pass Jim Acosta gets is every time he's had a few at the bar and walks by a woman. Hard pass, Jim. Similar to that carried by White House employees, on November 7, 2018, he is sued in his official capacity. Brad says Trump should give Acosta's press pass to Alex Jones. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Jurisdiction and venue. This court has jurisdiction over the action pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 1331, and venue is proper in the District of Columbia. Anyone arguing against that is silly. What if Trump revoked press passes to everyone except the Young Turks and InfoWars? I don't know. If you're giving out press passes, you kind of have to give press passes to a lot of people. A lot of people. But they should. They should do that. Except not the Young Turks. Just whoever compiles headlines for the Drudge Report should do it from the White House press room. Not reporting on White House stuff. He should just compile the headlines and put the articles there. That would be great. Facts. Plaintiff Acosta is a journalist with more than 20 years of experience as a reporter. He has covered national news stories, including presidential campaigns, Hurricane Katrina, and the Iraq War. Acosta has worked for CNN since 2007. From 1995 to 2001, Acosta worked for multiple television networks as a reporter and substitute anchor. 2001 to 2003, Acosta was correspondent for CBS NewsPath. 2003 to 2007, he was CBS News correspondent. February 2012, CNN named Acosta one of its national correspondents and subsequently made him senior White House correspondent. Acosta has been CNN's chief White House correspondent since January 2018. As part of his job, Acosta regularly covers presidential press conferences. Acosta is a member of the White House Press Corps, a group of reporters who cover the president, the White House, and executive functions in Washington, around the country, and around the world. White House reporters ensure that the public knows what is happening within the executive branch and that federal officials remain accountable to the public. No, you don't. No, you don't. Just scroll past the puffery. It's a good move, but no, we're going to read this is only, this is 18 pages. We'll get through it pretty quickly, and then we'll go into the analysis stuff. Acosta began reporting in 2012. In 2013, to gain regular access, like all White House correspondents, he applied for White House press credentials and security clearance in order to obtain what is called a hard pass. Acosta underwent a Secret Service background check and was granted a hard pass, which is valid for renewable 2-year periods. Hard pass is essential for White House reporters because it provides access to areas designated for journalists in the West Wing, on Air Force One, and in other secured areas during presidential trips, which are routinely covered by the White House Press Corps. For a White House correspondent like Acosta, the White House, or wherever the president is traveling in his workplace. Indeed, Acosta often writes and broadcasts directly from the White House, working out of a booth in the press area known as the lower press room, or from the upper press office, in close proximity to the Oval Office and the offices of the press secretary. Because Acosta's work requires his physical presence at the White House or on the road with the president, he often goes weeks or months without visiting CNN's Washington bureau. Accordingly, the press credentials allowing access to the White House grounds and press complex and to the president and his entourage during trips are necessary to provide workplace access. Guess he should be fired then. Without his credential, a daily White House correspondent like Acosta effectively cannot do his or her job. Get a new job, Jim. Adapt. You blew it. You blew it. The hard pass is essential in large part because it allows immediate access to White House grounds and its press offices. A hard pass thus lets a reporter react to fast developing important news stories. Without a hard pass, a reporter may well miss the newsworthy events. No, they won't. They'll just be behind everyone else, won't they? Particularly including the many notable events that occur with little notice. A hard pass is effectively required to be a White House correspondent for a national news organization such as CNN. Lydia, I did call myself a free speech absolutist. Without a hard pass, a reporter must ask for advance approval each time he wishes to enter the White House. Such access often needs to be requested at least 24 hours in advance. Just ask for it every day. Since many White House news events, briefings, or appearances are frequently announced day of, reporters without a hard pass are often effectively unable to cover these events. Further, the White House may decline to admit a reporter requesting daily access. Even if admitted, the reporter must wait in a security line with the general public. Oh, no. No, you're not a real person, are you? And be screened before entering the White House and then be escorted by security around the press offices. Without a hard pass, a White House correspondent simply cannot do his job. Fire him then. Fire him, CNN. Generally, the Secret Service may grant or deny a request for a security clearance made in connection with an application for a White House press pass, 31 CFR 4091. However, the Secret Service's discretion is expressly limited. Secret Service officials making that decision must, quote, be guided solely by the principle of whether the applicant presents a potential source of physical danger to the president and or the family of the president so serious as to justify his or her exclusion from White House press privileges. That's 31 CFR 409.1. In applying that standard, the special agent in charge of the Secret Service Technical Security Division must apply designated procedures governing notices, responses, and hearings regarding decisions about applicants. That's 409.2. I'm going to pull these up in the background. 31 CFR 409.1. And then we'll take a look at those. Oh, wow, that's pretty bare bones. We'll take a look at those in a minute, just to make sure we're all on the same page as to what they're saying. Okay. The president dislikes CNN's and Acosta's coverage of him and his administration and has made that clear since before he took office. At a news conference on January 11, 2017. Oh, is this my favorite part of the lawsuit where they collect the spiciest lines of the president? Here we go. For example, then President-elect Trump told Acosta, "Your organization is terrible." Acosta responded, "You're attacking us. Can you give us a question?" President replied, "Don't be rude." "No, I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news." Guys, he's making our job harder. He's making our job harder. What? Just report that he won't answer questions. Call him a coward. Do that stuff. You do worse already. Since being elected, President Trump has continuously tweeted negative remarks about CNN. For example, on February 17th, 2017, he stated, "The fake news media, failing New York Times, NBC News, ABC, CBS, CNN, is not my enemy. It is the enemy of the American people." On July 2nd, 2017, he tweeted a video depicting him tackling and punching a man with the CNN logo superimposed on his face, adding the comment, #FraudNewsCNN. The president's memeing us too hard. Make him stop. Make him stop memeing us. Can you, imagine unironically being the press in 2018 and complaining like this, like babies. Oh my gosh. Darking D says, honestly, the idea of a press corps is stupid anyway. The first isn't talking about news outlets. It's talking about printing presses. It's dissemination of information. Privileging corporate media sources is a terrible idea. You know, in a lot of ways, I don't disagree with that, Darking D. And Lydia Schewitz, just because I like the stream. Thank you, Lydia. I appreciate that. All right. So #FraudNewsCNN and #FraudNews or FNN. We can only assume Fraud News Network. On December 11th, 2017, he published a tweet calling CNN fake news and called one CNN journalist the dumbest man on television. Which one? Since Mr. Trump was inaugurated, he has tweeted about CNN dozens of times. Dozens? Trump tweets dozens of times a minute. And he's only tweeted about CNN dozens of times? That's barely worth anybody's concern. You should be striving for thousands of times by now. He's been in office 2 years. Cave said, if I could have one wish, it would be for the judge to throw this out and order Acosta to build his own White House. Also, the spiciest part of this suit is CNN admitting Trump is legally their president in official court filings. Yeah. It's good. It's good. We've got, you know what I'm going to do? I'll do this one more time. All right. This bottle's about to be put to pasture, and that's a shame. It's a good one. All right. Okay. Sorry. President Trump has not limited his criticisms of CNN to social media. On July 13th, 2018, at a press conference in England, in response to Acosta's attempt to ask a question, the president stated, CNN is fake news. I don't take questions from CNN. He doesn't have to. That's what makes this funny. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to make their job easier. That's what seems to be missing here. They think he has some obligation to make their job simpler, to give them the answers that they want, that they don't have to write this stuff. At a campaign rally on August 30th, 2018, he complained about CNN's coverage and said that CNN and its reporters are just dishonest, terrible people. The terrible people, the worst people. You know what, Jim? You're disgusting. You're a terrible person. CNN should be embarrassed for you. The November 7th, 2018 press conference. On Wednesday, November 7th, President Trump held a press conference to discuss the 2018 midterm elections. The press conference lasted approximately 90 minutes and was held in the East Room of the White House. Press conference was open to credentialed members of the press, including those members of the White House press corps with hard passes. White House has for decades opened up such conferences to all members of the press credentialed to cover the White House. On November 7th, Acosta used his hard pass to enter the White House and cover the press conference for CNN. President Trump delivered opening remarks and then invited questions from the media in attendance. Acosta, sitting in the front row, raised his hand. President Trump called on Acosta to go ahead with a question. Acosta was one of the first reporters the president called on for questions. Good tactic, by the way. One interesting rhetorical tactic, especially in recorded speeches or in live presentations, is to, so if you've got a written argument that you're writing, it's often you lead with your strongest argument and then sandwich in like the weaker argument and then close it with like your next strongest argument. Or maybe you start with like your second, you take your two strongest arguments and you sandwich in all the other stuff. That way they're left with an introduction of strong argument and a closure of strong argument. And it also helps when you're writing your conclusion, right? But an interesting thing to do when you've got live things going on, you're delivering a speech, is to load up the weakness in the front. So then you have the rest of the time and the most recent thing in people's memories to kind of buffer, rebut, and counter against the bad stuff that goes up front. So Trump asking Jim Acosta a question right up front, get it right out of the way. Not everybody might be paying attention and people are going to forget. You front load it. Front load the stuff because it's a live speech. Good job, President Trump. Okay. Speaking through a handheld microphone, as did all the White House journalists who asked questions, Acosta asked a question about one of President Trump's statements during the midterm campaign, namely whether a caravan making its way to the United States from Central America constitutes an invasion of the country, a significant feature of the president's messaging during the just-ended campaign. Well, yes. If it's a caravan of people making its way, it is an invasion. It just is. It doesn't mean it's a military invasion. It doesn't even mean that the invasion is necessarily bad. But if a bunch of people are going to cross the border and then apply for asylum, there's some level of invasion happening there. And again, even if you think that everybody should have asylum from that, and maybe they should, I don't know. Asylum is a case-by-case basis. It's made by ICE agents. There's a process for it. It is made after they enter the country, because I know that's been wrongly reported several times by different news networks. You have to apply for asylum inside the United States. You make entrance into the country and then apply for asylum. So that's how it's done. If there was a specific political group or something that's pushed out of a country, oftentimes they will seek entry into another country and then request asylum to stay there, because to go back to their other country would be death or persecution. I don't know anything about the people coming here, but if you want to categorize it as an invasion, yeah, I mean, it is. It's a significant feature of the president's messaging during that just-ended campaign. The president declined to respond, instead remarking, "You know what? I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN, and if you did it well, your ratings would be much better." It's a good zinger. It's a good zinger. When Acosta attempted to ask a follow-up question, President Trump refused to take it. A White House staffer then approached Acosta and attempted to grab the microphone. The staffer reached all the way across Acosta's body, successfully latched onto the microphone. Listen to the language. Listen to the language. Reached all the way across his body. CNN's calling Acosta big giant fatso. Poor White House intern's arm could barely reach across his corpulent gut. latched onto the microphone. Like she didn't have any claim to that microphone. Like it's not her job to retrieve the microphone from a reporter. And like Jim had not been granted that second question. And physically attempted to remove it from Acosta's right hand. Not telepathically, not telekinetically. She physically removed it. She didn't metaphysically remove it. She didn't try to argue it out of his hands. She physically tried to remove it. You know, the way you grab something and attempt to take it. She didn't talk to the microphone and attempt to reason it out of Acosta's hands. Keck7Go says Rekieta. Lydia Shewitz says, interesting. Keck7Go says Rekieta is a progressive man who only enjoys LGBTQ plus Mexican food. Do not let his Christian conservative speech fool you. Yes, I made some LGBTQ plus carnitas today, and they were delicious. All right. Let's see. And physically attempted. Listen to what they leave out. Listen to what they... This is amazing. This is amazing. Because you can head this argument off. Easily. Easily. I mean, this is dumb. Physically attempted to remove it from Acosta's right hand. Was it his right hand? I think it was his left hand, wasn't it? Acosta held onto the microphone, stated, "Pardon me, ma'am," and continued to ask his question. That's not quite what happened. Now we're on the oh gosh. Let's find this, because can I just get... No, I don't. Okay. Hold on. I'll see if I can pull this up in just a second. Oh, it is in his right hand. Okay. It's in his right hand, and what they don't mention is what happens with his left hand. Now, normally, I would never ask what was going on in Jim Acosta's left hand or his right hand, because I'd be terrified of the answer. But the mic is in his right hand. With his left hand, and they leave this out. And this is so irritatingly dumb to leave out. He placed his hand on the intern's arm. He touched the intern's arm. They should leave that in there. They should make sure, they should head that argument off, because the Trump White House response is going to be that he vigorously pushed against the intern's arm while she was just doing her job, or something to that effect, or he viciously or forcefully pushed away the intern's arm when his turn was done. They're going to leave that, like they're leaving Trump to make the argument. Guys, I know most of you are probably never going to write a lawsuit, but if you do, you might have to represent yourself pro se or something like that. You always put in the bad stuff that you know the other side is going to say, but you spin it favorably. Head off their argument. You know it's coming. They released a doctored video, right? You know they're going to play up the touch. It's an unwanted physical touch of the staffer whose hand was on a microphone, not on Acosta. A microphone that didn't belong to Jim Acosta, and that his temporary property right in holding the microphone was revoked by the owner of the microphone. Okay? So, he no longer had a right to hold that microphone. So a person goes to retrieve it rather peacefully, touching the microphone, not Jim Acosta, and then he pulls away with the right hand. He pulls away and he swats at her arm or pushes it away, or however you want to characterize it or categorize it. It doesn't really matter. He put his hand on the staffer. Can't do it. Can't do that, Jim. Now, I will be deferential to Jim, and let's charitably say that Jim was caught up in addressing the president, wasn't looking at the person. Someone grabbed at the microphone. He reflexively, without any sort of intent to cause any harm or any sort of disturbance, he just pushed away. And then you can tell he notices it's a young woman, and he says, "Pardon me, ma'am." I think at that point his brain says, "Oops, what did I just do? I just put my hands on someone. I just put my hands on this young woman. She's trying to do her job." He should have said, "Pardon me, ma'am. Here's the microphone. I apologize." But he didn't do that. He really wanted to get that second question. He'd already been told no. This is part of the problem with people. You can't do this. All right. Landon Mack and James says, "Sorry I'm late, Nick Daddy. I was working. I'm here to bring your law-splaining a bit more autism. Hashtag does Dick eat booty." I think we know he does. And Landon, you better be there Thursday for when I'm interviewing anime outsiders on the Tara Strong incident. I will expect to see you in the chat, my friend, because that's in your realm, buddy. That's all anime all day. Okay. All right. The staffer finally sat down and allowed Acosta to ask his follow-up question. The president again declined to answer Acosta, saying, "I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you work for them. You're a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN." The president further stated that when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. President Trump then turned to take a question from Peter Alexander of NBC News and told Alexander to go ahead. Before asking a question of his own, Alexander stated with regard to the president's statement about Acosta, "I think that's unfair. And in Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him." Immediately, Trump should have asked the next person for their question. He's a diligent reporter who busts his butt like the rest of us. The president responded, "Well, I'm not a big fan of yours either." So, Oh, and it's just dunking on these dorks, these self-important press corps. Like, I'm Jim Acosta. I'm Peter Alexander of NBC News. So? You're just a guy. You're just some guy. President Trump returned to his criticisms of CNN seconds later, pointing at Acosta and saying that when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. So he repeated the exact same thing? That's weird. The entire press conference, including the specific exchange in question at minutes 27 minutes 31 seconds to 30 minutes 13 seconds, can be viewed here. Oh, I suppose I could have clicked on that. At least they linked to C-SPAN and not to CNN. A clip of the specific exchange described above can also be viewed here, and that's from the Associated Press. The White House revokes Acosta's press credentials. Good. I think the president should do this stuff all the time. All the time, personally. Hours after the press conference concluded, Press Secretary Sanders issued an official statement announcing that the White House is suspending the hard pass of Acosta until further notice. The press secretary accused Acosta of placing his hands on the White House staffer who attempted to take the microphone from Acosta during the press conference. Acosta quickly retorted, "It was just one hand. It was just one hand. How dare you defame me and say it was my hands?" Darking D says, "Jim Abilio Acosta." Yeah. On the White House staffer who attempted to take the microphone from Acosta during the press conference, press secretary added that the alleged conduct is absolutely unacceptable. It is. You're in the presence of the President of the United States, and that is his staff. You can't touch them. and stated, "We will not tolerate this inappropriate behavior." The only way it could have been worse for Acosta is if he would have gotten an accidental boob grab. Like, oh man, aside from the lingering trauma that would happen from, having her breast groped by Jim Acosta, that would be funnier. Like, aside from what that poor staffer would have to go through, it would be funnier if that's what happened. And then they could really just drag his face through the dirt. Okay. Yeah. The White House's statement indicated this alleged incident was the basis of its decision to revoke Acosta's credentials. Good. He sure does, Brandon B. Members of the media who attended the press conference and saw the encounter disputed Press Secretary Sanders' characterization of the account. I mean, it's only on video. He definitely touches her arm. Chuck Ross of the Daily Caller wrote that there is plenty to criticize Acosta about, but he did not place his hands on the intern. It's ridiculous for anyone to suggest he did. I mean, are we serious? Of course he did. Hold on. This just bothers me. Let's see if we can, hold on one second. Not that one. This one? Whoa! Let's get rid of me. Here we go. All right. You guys tell me. You guys tell me if this dummy put his hand on her. What was that? Where was it? His hand is physically in contact with her right there. Look at that. Look at him cutting away, trying to cut away mid-grab. Of course he put his hand on her. Or is he going to claim it was wrist? I only touched her with my wrists, officer. Oh my gosh. We got to back it up. I love that NBC, complaining about the doctored video, tries to, they fade out as he's got the hand on there. All right. All right. So there you go. Anyone who says, let's get back to the document. Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. These people are so it's really shocking. Do you think they're not going to play the video in court? Like, and show this? Cathurga says you can see her recoil. That's just her natural reaction to Jim Acosta. Like, anytime a woman gets near him, just ugh. Landon, Mag, and James, what time Thursday? Who is this fellow Weeaboo? He's I don't know. Anime Outsiders. They've got a Twitter account called Anime Outsiders, and they have a website that covers anime issues, I guess. I figured you knew exactly who they were. Heavy Fisted. Oh, it's battery. It's not assault. Under common law. I don't know specifically the laws in Washington, D.C. around assault and battery. If it's civil we're talking about, this is definitely a common law, simple battery. Because any uninvited touch that's not justified is a common law battery. That's just what it is. Once you touch someone, it's battery. People often will colloquially say assault for battery. That's just how they do it. But assault actually doesn't involve any sort of touch. An assault is not a touch. An assault is a threat that is communicated to someone in various ways. It can be verbal. It can be nonverbal. It can be intimidation. It can be a physical presence of a large person blocking a path, stuff like that. That can be assault. Brandishing a gun or a knife would be assault. Actually making any of those things have contact with a person, that's when it transfers to battery. Okay. All right. Chuck Ross of the Daily Caller wrote that there is plenty to criticize Acosta about, but he did not place his hands on the intern. It's ridiculous for anyone to suggest that he did. No, it's not. I mean, he literally puts his hand right on her. Jeff Mason of Reuters, a former president of the White House, I don't know what the WHCA is, I don't care, wrote that he was seated next to Acosta at the press conference and did not witness him placing his hands on the young intern. It's on video, you morons, as the White House alleges. He held on to the microphone as she reached for it. And with his other hand, like, apparently Acosta, that was someone else's arm. It's someone else's arm. He just pulled someone else's arm out of the ether. There was some wormhole that allowed someone else's arm to come and touch the intern. That's what happened. They also happened to be wearing the same suit. That night, Acosta attempted to continue reporting on President Trump's press conference and midterm elections. He returned to the White House to do live coverage for a CNN's Anderson Cooper 360 show. Oh, does that show still exist? I honestly didn't know or care. Chuck Ross was not at that presser. Good. So they just picked some favorable comments. But when Acosta arrived at the White House gate, a Secret Service officer stood in the doorway in front of the security booth that leads into the White House and blocked his path. Uh-oh. Secret Service officer refused to let Acosta enter the White House grounds and instead told Acosta to surrender his hard pass. Acosta gave his hard pass to the officer and thanked him for his service. It's a shame that the Secret Service officer is probably far too polite to talk about what that was. Oh, Landon, I didn't answer you. 11 o'clock Central, same as normal. The White House had not told Acosta that his credentials were revoked in advance of the revocation. Good. That's funnier. It's funnier to make him go there and humiliatingly turn them in. Instead, Acosta found out when he saw the press secretary's statement on his mobile phone as he was on his way to report from the White House for the Anderson Cooper 360 segment. I bet it made that segment hard to cover, didn't it, Jim? Later that night, Press Secretary Sanders issued another statement via tweet announcing that the White House stands by our decision to revoke Acosta's hard pass. The statement also claimed that Acosta's alleged inappropriate behavior was clearly documented in a video embedded in the tweet. 15-second video purported to depict the moment the White House staffer attempted to take microphone out of Acosta's hand. But the video shared by Press Secretary Sanders was apparently doctored, as has been reported widely. It has further been reported that the video Ms. Sanders disseminated to the public came from a contributor to InfoWars, an organization whose conspiracy theories and hateful content have led it to being banned earlier this year by most major social media platforms. Oh, free speech for me, but not for thee, you garbage heaps. Oh, gosh. Hello, the press. Let me ask you, to do this, and I'm going to ask you this politely. Listen to Glenn Beck. Not now. I don't know what he's been saying in the past few years. But all throughout the Obama administration, you can really pick any of the first, 7 years of it probably. Listen to Glenn Beck. He has a line. It's from early communists. Okay? And from the revolutionaries who CNN likes to support. And it's journalists get the bullet too. I think it's first. No, it's two. It's when they're done with the journalists, they get the bullet. You don't realize what you're doing. When you keep out people like InfoWars, as crazy and ridiculous as you may think they are, They're your peers. They're your contemporaries. They're your colleagues. And in some cases, they're your betters. And that's what's really funny, because I know that's hard for you to suck down, that Alex Jones shrieking into a microphone is your better in some ways. They're also your bulwark and shield, because when you take away the voice of a segment of the population and then you increase that and you go beyond the crazy people like InfoWars and you start looping in some other people and you don't stand up for their ability to speak, you lose your shield. You lose your shield. And then when the revolutionaries come, guess what? You're the elite. And once they've killed all the other elite, they kill you too. And they probably eat you. And maybe rape you. Because that's how these things go. It's not pleasant. The press doesn't end up well in this. You dumb idiots. You need people like Alex Jones. You need the crazy people. You need the news media who disagree with the major news wires. You need the ones who don't collude in back offices, who are out on the fringe, who have trouble getting press passes, who report the crazy stuff and take all the heat for you. You need them. You need those people. Stand up for their right to speak instead of trying to smear them because people like you took it away. You want us to defend your speech? You better defend ours. Analyses comparing the video included in Press Secretary Sanders' tweet and unaltered video captured by C-SPAN at the time of the same event shows the version shared by Press Secretary Sanders appears to have been edited. It doesn't matter, though, because the real video, which edited is... We're being pretty liberal with how they edited it. You're saying it as if they... maybe they dropped a frame. I don't know what actually happened in there. But I think the edit makes it look like the hand motion is slightly more violent. The hand motion still occurs. And we know that Acosta is good with hand motions. Okay? All right. Appears to have been edited. As the Washington Post has explained, the video makes it appear that Acosta swiftly chopped down on the arm of an aide as he held onto a microphone while questioning President Trump. But in the original video, Acosta's arm appears to move only as a response to a tussle for the microphone. Oh, that makes it better. There's no tussle. If you're in my house and I ask you for the thing of mine that you're holding on to, you better hand it over. Like, I'll be polite, but if my kid comes over to grab it from you and you touch my child, we're going to have some words. If my wife comes over to grab that drink glass out of your hand that I said, hey, can you give that back? And you resist, we're going to have words. You don't have the right to resist in that instance. His statement, pardon me, ma'am, is not included in the video Sanders shared. That's because it comes after the touch, not before the touch. Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, has since attempted to deny the video had been altered, but then admitted it had been sped up. But the unaltered video captured by C-SPAN shows what really occurred. Acosta was only attempting to hold onto the microphone as the staffer tried to grab it from him. And he put his hand on the staffer accidentally, involuntarily, reflexively. Head off the argument, you moron. What is wrong with you? Aren't you good attorneys? Doesn't CNN have good attorneys? CNN, I will edit all of your little documents for a small fee. It'd take me 5 minutes to make them better. Darking D says, wait. Walesy1 says, fun show. What is the status of videos like this as evidence lacking any other corroboration? Are they enough? Yeah, video evidence is very, very good evidence. Unless there's some dispute as to the authenticity of the video, the the authenticity of the recording. Has it been tampered with or doctored in any way? Though the way to overcome that is just show different sources and allow the fact finder to determine the most relevant one. Or if there were like some question as to the date or incident, not being the same as what's alleged. But I mean, in this one, it's highly publicized. So a video of this from C-SPAN or from anywhere else will be enough. And the White House has no reason not to use the C-SPAN video to say that he put his hands on the intern or the staffer. They keep calling her staffer. I keep calling her intern. Maybe it's because I'm a misogynist. The staffer. They have no reason not to use a C-SPAN video. Likely, Sarah Sanders didn't even review the video. And the comparative analysis, I mean, it's like a 15, 20-second clip, something like that. If you look at the two videos in isolation, you really don't notice the difference. Like, to be fair to Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she probably just got the clip and was like, yeah, that's what happened. Put it out there. They're trying to make it out as this malicious conspiracy. We're talking, I think, something like a half-second speed up in the video. It's ridiculous. Landon Mag James says, you get these anime guys on before me. So sad, but man, a website. These guys need to hire me. I'll be there 1 a.m. Eastern when I get off work. Sounds good, buddy. Sounds good. Darking D says, no, it's okay. You can't not consent to suicide. Trump should have gotten off the podium and put the microphone on top of the White House kitchen fridge until Acosta calmed down. Oh, Ben Cheevers. Getting here late starting now will probably catch up by the end. Is it possible to file an amicus brief, might not be the right term, that shows studies how lowly people regard CNN and their veracity? He relies on otherwise in his complaint. I don't know what the District of Columbia's policy on amicus briefs is. Usually amicus briefs are reserved for appeals courts, but they may take them at the district court level under certain conditions. You got to check. You'd have to check with the District of Columbia District Court rules and see what the amicus brief rules are. All right. Okay. Sorry. The content and viewpoint of CNN and Acosta's reporting on the Trump administration, not his interaction with the staffer at the November 7 press conference, were the real reason the White House indefinitely revoked his press credentials. He's been putting up with Acosta as lead correspondent for a year. I don't think you can actually support this. Neither the White House nor the Secret Service has provided Acosta any formal notice of the reasons for opportunity to be heard regarding or opportunity to challenge the decision to revoke his hard pass. I assume these are coming. They need to. This is one thing we're going to talk about right here. Once we get through and I start going through the analysis of all this. On November 8th, 2018, CNN CEO Jeff Zucker, let's change that. CNN CEO Jeff Cucker wrote defendant John F. Kelly requesting that Acosta's credentials be reinstated immediately, noting that, I'm going to talk to your manager, noting that prior to the revocation, no complaints were raised with CNN. There was no attempt to reach anyone at CNN before taking this unlawful action. It's not necessarily an unlawful action. Cucker added, this is now the third instance where CNN journalists were targeted for exclusion by this administration as part of a pattern of targeted harassment. Boo-hoo, you babies. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. Defendants have not reinstated Acosta's press credentials or returned his hard pass and have informed CNN and Acosta that they do not intend to do so. Good. Ban him for life. Ban him from White House tours. Ban him from White House grounds. Ban him from talking about the White House. I don't even care anymore. It's funnier to do it this way. The White House also rejected Acosta's application for a day pass on November 8th. Good. On November 9th, defendants prohibited Acosta from fully covering the president on a trip to Paris to mark the centennial of the end of the First World War. Looks like CNN's going to have to promote someone else and demote Jim Acosta. Although Acosta traveled to Paris, he was told that he would not be allowed to access the president's events, including an event that had been planned, but was ultimately canceled due to inclement weather, to visit the French President Emmanuel Macron, a cemetery. To visit with French President Emmanuel Macron, a cemetery to honor the fallen. Although the French government issued credentials to Acosta, the Secret Service refused to allow Acosta to attend an allegedly open press event whose attendees included journalists from around the world. Yeah, apparently they regard you as a safety threat to the President of the United States because you have a habit of touching people you can't touch. Without his press credentials, Acosta's ability to perform his duty as CNN's chief White House correspondent is effectively eliminated. Uh-oh! I guess his job is next. Because CNN's chief White House correspondent has effectively been prohibited from reporting from the White House and the president's trips, its news gatherings and reporting abilities have been significantly hampered, causing harm not just to CNN, but also to its many viewers and readers who rely on CNN as an essential news source. No, that's called a vaccine. We're inoculating these people of their misinterpreted need for CNN. CNN can eat all the glass in the world, by the way. You couldn't pay me to care about CNN's plight. Not a lick. I know some very good people in this world who are literally ruined by CNN. So, CNN, yeah, I don't care. I don't care if they evict you from your building and nationalize it. I'm the most anti-nationalization person ever, but I would love Trump's administration to eminent domain the CNN building and donate it to the homeless. I think that'd be great. Imagine how many homeless people could be stored at CNN's Washington bureau. Whew, man. Eminent domain for the public good. You could probably fit all of Washington, D.C.'s homeless population in offices, relatively cozy offices in the CNN building. I fully support that action, Mr. President. And if you need help drafting the legal documents to confiscate via eminent domain the CNN Washington bureau and donate it to the homeless, like maybe Caring and Sharing Hands is a great Catholic charity that I'm sure could put that building to good use, feeding the homeless, or, you know, really anybody else. Anybody else. You can look me up. I will work on it pro bono. I will work on it for free. I will pay you to let me work on it. That's how great it would be. CNN can catch fire. Politely in Minecraft. I am officially paying you to care about CNN's plight. That's from Yorgamund07. And Jinxer Felix says, the altercation was a result of converting it to a GIF. GIFs are extremely low frame rate animation like a flipbook. Fewer frames means his arm will appear to reach hers sooner, but it's extremely minor. Yeah, it is. And I watched, like, Harmful Opinions did a side-by-side analysis of the video and the GIF. And it shows that it wasn't sped up. Like, he specifically covers that because the start and end time is the exact same. But yeah, there's frame drop from the GIF conversion, I think is what he said. All right. Someday maybe I'll tell the story of how CNN ruined people that were very dear to me. So, yeah. No, thank you. Because CNN's chief White House correspondent has effectively been prohibited from reporting from the White House and the president's trips. Oh, wait. Yeah. Causing harm not just to CNN, but also to many viewers and readers. Good. On November 9th, no more harm than CNN causes them on the average day. And guys, I don't even like the Trump administration that much. I find them hilarious. And I'm really interested in their exercises of executive power over the legislature, over the press, and over the judiciary. I certainly am. But I don't agree with a lot of it. I'm generally conservative, generally Republican. But I'm very libertarian. And Trump's policies on the press, frankly, are one of the things that that really gave me pause during the 2016 election cycle. However, this isn't a violation of the free press, in my opinion. You know, there's lots worse that he could be doing that he's not. So I'm not like a fan. I'm not a super fan of Trump. I'm not a super Trump guy. I understand people who are, and I have no problem with them and no problem with their position on liking Trump. I'm certainly not going to argue against it. No reason to. And I like a lot of the things he's doing. Let me be very clear on that. I like where the economy's been going and stuff like that. Great stuff. That said, like, CNN is that much of a dumpster fire that I don't care if they got under Mao and had to deal with that. It wouldn't bother me in the slightest. I don't care who's in office. CNN is worse. So, you know. And yes, infinitely better than Hillary. Infinitely better than Hillary. Let's see. E. Michael says, GoFundMe for hot intern. She was touched. And Doku HLSD says, Jim is not my cousin Vinny Acosta. Streamlab hates me, so begrudgingly, here's your money, Google. Also, super chat, so drink. Thanks, buddy. I will. All right. Let's get through this document. On November 9th, during the remarks to the press, the president was asked about the revocation of Acosta's press pass. The president stated that while he believed Acosta was not nice to a young woman, I don't hold him for that because it wasn't overly, horrible. When a reporter asked, Mr. President, how long are you going to leave Jim Acosta in the penalty box? The president responded, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't made that decision, but it could be others also. So here's the funny thing. This undermines their argument because their argument is that the president revoked Jim Acosta's press pass and was not allowed to. But the president just said he didn't. The president just said he didn't hold that against him because even though he was bad, it wasn't super horrible. But I haven't made that decision, he says. Jim, it was made by the Secret Service because you physically touched someone in the White House that you weren't allowed to physically touch in a way you weren't allowed to physically touch them. Do you have a history of that, Jim? That'd be interesting. Doesn't matter. You can't do that. So the Secret Service now regards you as a potential threat because you got a little too much temper to be in the White House. You got to have a little thicker skin. You got to be able to stand there when the president dresses you down, and you got to suck it up for a second because he's the president and you're nothing. And then you got to go whine about it later on TV. That's what you have to do. You don't do it to the White House staffer. You don't do it to the president. You don't do it to anybody involved in White House, the organizational operation of the White House. You do it on TV later, which is what you always do. That's your job. You're supposed to have a thicker skin than this. Andrew Gluck says, CNN is a cum dumpster fire. Watch out. That'll get all the SJWs mad at you. And then Keck7 Go says, so when journalists are getting shot, eaten, and raped, is that in the exact order? Yes. They'll be shot first, then eaten, then raped. If they're lucky, that's the exact order, right? I think that's the way you want it to go. Because there are two other orders I can think of that are far worse than that one. All right. First cause of action, violation of the First Amendment. Plaintiffs repeat, reallege, and incorporate the allegations in the paragraphs above as fully set forth herein. Defendant's decision to revoke Acosta's press credentials violates the First Amendment. Maybe. Plaintiffs' access to the White House, their coverage of the November 7th press conference, and Acosta's questions to the president during that conference are and were all protected activities under the First Amendment of the United States. Yep. Defendants have deprived plaintiffs of their right to access the White House grounds by revoking Acosta's White House credentials, Without those credentials, Acosta cannot access the White House and cannot effectively serve as a White House or as White House correspondent, thus depriving plaintiff CNN of its chief White House correspondent. Man, I guess that's too bad for CNN, isn't it? Defendants initially claimed they revoked Acosta's press pass because he placed hands on the intern. That contention is not accurate. No, it absolutely is accurate. It absolutely is accurate. Like, I've already showed the video. What am I... Sorry. The president himself has stated that Acosta's conduct was not overly horrible. By the way, since it was Lady Rackets' fault that I was late, she is now paying the price and the baby is still awake. Oh, sorry. I was just making a joke. That Acosta's conduct was not overly horrible and that Acosta's credentials were actually suspended because he failed to treat the White House with respect. Yeah, that's the White House staff. Defendants' justifications for impeding plaintiffs' First Amendment rights are hollow and hardly sufficiently compelling to justify the indefinite revocation of Acosta's White House credentials. Consequently, the only reasonable inference from defendants' conduct is that they have revoked Acosta's credentials as a form of content and viewpoint-based discrimination and in retaliation for plaintiffs' exercise of protected First Amendment activity. Nope. Nope. Not at all. I mean, maybe when the Secret Service provides you notice of why they revoked the press pass, maybe that's what they'll say, but I doubt it. The sole justification for defendants' conduct is their dislike for plaintiffs' coverage of the administration, critique of the president, that is insufficient to justify such a substantial restriction on plaintiffs' First Amendment rights. As a result of defendants' actions, plaintiffs have suffered and continue to suffer irreparable harm. I think this is a good time to talk about the legal standards here. Does that sound good? We'll do that. Ben Cheever says, I hope it isn't annoying to hear super chats from the past, but you're dead on. Jim Acosta would have been bulletproof if he apologized and gave her the mic. As it happened, he's finished. It's Trump derangement syndrome, which caused him to act this way. I agree. I agree. What? I don't need immediate assistance. I just need to log into my... Here we go. There we go. Recent cases. Come on. It's running really slow. I apologize. All right. I guess we'll do it this way. Pardon me for taking a minute. I want to just make sure we get the... I want to make sure I get the language of Cheryl versus Knight correct. Just tell your wife that sleeping on the couch infringes your First Amendment rights. Floofy Coon, hey, what's up, buddy? Welcome to the show. All right, so I'm not gonna... Well, I guess I could pull this up on screen, right? You guys can see this. I don't need to be so secretive. Let me get this out of the way, and we'll pull this up. Give me 1 second. Here we go. So this is, I know this is going to be kind of small print. Maybe I can, we'll go here. Hopefully you guys can read this. I can kind of read it. You know, with the resolution thing. All right. So this is Cheryl versus Knight. Okay. Catch you later, Backo. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. We're not gonna read through this whole case. It doesn't really matter. We're gonna read through some of the legal standards here. Yeah, Floofy, that's an uphill battle. We're gonna talk about the discussion here. Okay, so this is a case from 1977. It was decided in 1977. This is where a White House... Ooh, Super Iron Bob says, I DM'd you some alternative footage of the Acosta accosting They really get the perspective. I'll pull it up in just a second, pal. Thanks a bunch. How could someone who grew up in the age of computers be so bad at it? Yeah. All right. Like I said, we're not going to read through this Cheryl versus Knight, but I'm going to pull out the interesting. This is the leading case. Cheryl versus Knight. This is the only case on that matters as far as White House press credentials. So there is a First Amendment right implicated by refusal to grant a White House press pass to bona fide Washington journalists. Now, what's interesting is we can immediately distinguish. Oh, goodness. We can immediately distinguish this case from other cases, or from Cheryl versus Knight. All right? Cheryl versus Knight required, it said that the First Amendment right to a Washington press pass was for journalists who live in Washington, D.C. and frequently report on the White House. They have to get a Senate press pass and a House press pass, and then a Washington, D.C. press pass. Or the White House press pass follows after that. But Acosta lives in New York. He's a New York resident. Let's see. So that's immediately distinguishable between this case and Cheryl versus Knight. It said in Cheryl versus Knight, that was reserved to correspondents who lived in Washington, D.C. and thus reported on the D.C. Goings-on as a matter of course and profession. Acosta doesn't live there. That's distinguishable, and they'll probably bring that up. The next thing. Okay. So the standard for denial of a press pass has never been formally articulated or published. Merely informing individual rejected applicants that rejection was for reasons of security does not inform the public or other potential applicants of the basis for exclusion of journalists from the White House press facilities. Moreover, we think that the phrase reasons of security is unnecessarily vague and subject to ambiguous interpretation. Therefore, we are of the opinion that appellants must publish or otherwise make publicly known the actual standard employed in determining whether an otherwise eligible journalist will obtain a White House press pass. We do agree with appellants that the governmental interest here does not lend itself to detailed articulation of narrow and specific standards. So they're overruling a previous case that said that they had to detail narrow and specific standards for the issuance of White House press pass. They do not have to do that. Or precise identification of all the factors which may be taken into account in applying the standard. It is enough that the Secret Service be guided solely by the principle of whether the applicant presents a potential source of physical danger to the president and or his immediate family, so serious as to justify his exclusion. This standard is sufficiently circumspect so as to allow the Secret Service, exercising expert judgment, which frequently must be subjective in nature, considerable leeway in denying press passes for security reasons. At the same time, the standard does specify in a meaningful way the basis upon which persons will be deemed security risks, and therefore will allow meaningful judicial review of decisions to deny press passes. We anticipate that reviewing courts will be appropriately deferential to the Secret Service's determination of what justifies the interference that an individual constitutes a potential risk to the physical security of the president or his family. So let's get a couple things clear. The court has ruled that there is a First Amendment right for a Washington-based correspondent with access to the Senate and House to have a White House press pass. It's a very narrow and specific category. Jim Acosta fails one of those standards. Now, that doesn't mean the court has to adopt the same standards that were adopted in 1977. You could certainly argue that in today's era of modernization, you can get Jim Acosta to the White House from New York, or that Jim stays in hotels or whatever. You can certainly say that Jim Acosta can cover the White House without being a Washington resident. But that's an argument. That's not a legal standard. Hopcrop, I missed your Streamlab. Just a second. Let me get it. I don't have it pulled up right now. I saw Super Iron Bob's as it happened. That's why I missed yours. Sorry, I would go back to it. He says, no wonder these imbeciles keep trying to revoke our rights. They fundamentally don't get how rights work. That is true. They really don't. They really don't. All right. So the big distinguishing factor is that Jim Acosta is a New York resident, self-admitted in this document, and therefore, under Cheryl versus Knight, he and the existing standard of who can get a press pass, he's not entitled to one as a First Amendment right. He doesn't reside in Washington, D.C. I could probably find that real quick. These are all president. Well, let's try this. Bona fide Washington journalists. Okay, here we go. Although there exists no written procedures pertaining to the issuance of a press pass for the White House, it was established in the district court that these passes are routinely obtained in the following manner. A journalist submits a request for a pass to the White House press office. After determining that the applicant has obtained a pass for the House and Senate press galleries, resides in the Washington, D.C. area, and needs to report from the White House on a regular basis, the latter usually being verified by an editor of the publication for which the applicant is a correspondent. The press office forwards the application to the Secret Service for a security check, including a background FBI investigation. So I want to point that out, that's one of the parts of this is that they reside in Washington, D.C. So Trump already has a strong argument. Says Acosta doesn't reside in D.C. He can work anywhere else. I can't believe they didn't move him to D.C. before filing this lawsuit, honestly. Doesn't seem like that would have been that hard. Okay, so, but there is some First Amendment right to a White House press pass for a journalist who meets these criteria. All right, so let's be clear. And that means that though it is funny, like if we say there's a First Amendment right to a Washington or White House press pass, then why don't I should get one too. Well, except I'm not a Washington, D.C. Correspondent based in Washington, D.C. and covering the White House with access to the House and Senate. So if I were, I would have a right to one, and so would you. There you go. Brandon B., I don't remember specifically what Obama tried to do. All right. So there is a First Amendment right. However, it is subject to the CNN's overwhelming government purpose, or CNN's Secret Service's overwhelming purpose to protect the safety and security of the President of the United States and his immediate family. If the Secret Service determines that someone is a threat to the President or his immediate family, they have full discretion to deny that person. And it is subjective to the Secret Service's expertise. And the Secret Service is the only person who is qualified, the only group who is qualified to determine what is an appropriate or what is a threat to the president and what is not. So if the Secret Service says you're a threat to the president or their immediate family, done. There is no real appeal to that. You can say, no, I'm not. And they can say, yes, you are. But as of right now, no one has issued Acosta a letter. Now they should immediately do so. And they have all the reason in the world to say that they were delayed in doing so. They wanted to review things. They temporarily suspended his license or his press pass out of safety. Now upon review, they'll either reinstate it or they'll permanently bar it or bar it for a period of 2 to 5 years or whatever they want to do. It doesn't really matter. If this Secret Service determines Jim Acosta to be a threat to the President of the United States, and let me be clear, he touched an intern inappropriately and not like Bill Clinton, okay? That means that he is a threat to the President of the United States and his immediate family, because we don't know what Jim Acosta would do if he lost his temper next to Melania or Barron or Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump or any of the other Trumps. We don't know what he would do. Would he put his hand on the president in an unwanted manner? It doesn't mean he would murder him. It literally means that he would touch someone from the president's family or the president himself without their consent. That's it. That's a threat to the president, and that's enough. And so all they have to do to win this lawsuit, Trump, buddy, $10,000, let me tell you. All you got to do is have the Secret Service issue a letter that says, based on your conduct on November 7th, we have found you to be a danger to the president and not able to have a White House press pass, period. Then he will appeal it. And he'll send all the video, and they say that all they have to do is say, we've reviewed your appeal. Done. Nope. No press pass. You're still a threat. Get bent, you loser. That's it. That's all they have to do. Do it. All right. Next, let's get back to their argument. Hold on. I gotta bring this back up. I'm getting better. All right, back to their argument. Here we go. Second cause of action. This is a violation of the Fifth Amendment. Nigel Rhodes asks, could the threat of assault be adequate in this case? Yeah. They don't really need to give much. They can just determine that Jim Acosta is a threat to the president. He can appeal it to the Secret Service, who can then say, thank you for the appeal. No. That's it. That's all it takes. Second cause of action is a violation of the Fifth Amendment. Plaintiffs repeat, reallege, and incorporate the allegations in the paragraphs above, blah, blah, blah. Defendant's decision to revoke Acosta's press credentials violates the Fifth Amendment rights to due process. Plaintiffs have protected liberty and property interests in Acosta's press credentials and the access it affords to the White House. The credentials allow Acosta access to his office in the White House and allow him to do his job effectively. Absent his credentials, he cannot serve as White House correspondent. Again, fire him, I guess. Acosta received no direct notice from the White House that his credentials had been revoked. It should come from the Secret Service, not the White House, let alone any notice prior to the revocation. Doesn't have to be prior to the revocation, by the way. They just have to have notice as to why they're not getting a press pass. Instead, the White House announced the revocation itself via Twitter after defendants already decided to effectively ban Acosta from the White House grounds. Defendants did not provide plaintiffs a written explanation nor any explanation at all before revoking Acosta's press credentials. The only written explanation was a short statement posted on Twitter that Acosta was suspended because he placed his hands on a White House staffer. Even if this tweet were accurate, and it is not, as the reportedly doctored video defendant Saunders posted would show later show, it would not suffice to demonstrate prior notice of the revocation. I don't know where they're getting prior notice of the revocation. There is no requirement for prior notice of the revocation. That's a weird thing. If you notice, there's no citation given for requiring prior notice of revocation. Just says notice. Here, like, think of the lunacy that this dummy is asking for. We need to protect the president right now from you. We need to give you prior notice to protect the president from you? No. They protect the president first and then provide notice when they get around to it in a reasonable amount of time. Now, this is 7 days ago. Should they have provided notice by now? Probably. And they'll have to with this lawsuit. That'll be the result of this lawsuit, is that they have to provide notice and an opportunity to appeal. Okay. And then an opportunity for judicial review. Maybe Acosta should have given prior notice to the woman before he inappropriately touched her without her permission. Doesn't it sound bad when we say Jim Acosta inappropriately touched a woman in the White House? I love the sound of that. Defendants did not provide plaintiffs an opportunity to be heard before revoking Acosta's press credentials. You don't get an opportunity to be heard before revoking the press credentials. You get an opportunity to be heard before having your reinstatement denied. So there's a distinct difference there. Nor have they provided him any avenue to challenge or appeal the revocation of his credentials. You send a letter to the Secret Service, Jim. Rather, defendants have stated they do not plan to ever rescind the revocation of Acosta's credentials. You're banned for life. You're terrible. You're terrible. We're going to build a wall. It's going to be 10 feet higher than you think, and we're going to throw you over it. You're awful. Get out. As a result of the defendant's actions, plaintiffs have suffered and continue to suffer irreparable harm. Irreparable harm. No one cares about you in the first place. Third cause of action, violation of the Administrative Procedures Act 5 U.S.C. 706 against all defendants other than President Trump. Defendant's revocation of Acosta's press credentials constitutes a final agency decision by the Secret Service. Defendants had no legal or rational justification to revoke Acosta's credentials. The only justification they provide publicly that Acosta placed his hands on a staffer is not accurate, and the other stated justification that Acosta failed to treat the White House and the office of the presidency with sufficient respect is not sufficient as a matter of law. What is sufficient as a matter of law? Why don't you put that down? Why don't you put down the legal standard? You should, in a document, lay out that Acosta's reflexive and mild touch on a White House staffer is not sufficient grounds to determine that he is an immediate threat to the president or his immediate family. Head off the argument, you dummies! By revoking Acosta's White House hard pass, defendants acted arbitrarily, capriciously. No, it's not arbitrary and capricious. They picked him specifically for reasons. That's not arbitrary. Arbitrary and capricious would be deciding at random to ban 5 members of the press corps by drawing lots. That would be arbitrary. Or whose birthdays are in December. That would be arbitrary. Picking a specific reporter and basing it on their actions is necessarily the opposite of arbitrary and capricious, only according to the dictionary. And otherwise not in accordance with law. By revoking Acosta's press credentials solely based on plaintiff's viewpoint, the content of their speech. No, they literally said that that wasn't the reason. They literally said it was because of your interactions with a White House staff person. So you keep going back to this viewpoint-based and content-based speech revocation. It's not that. Because they know that the next chump that gets a White House press pass is probably going to be worse than Jim Acosta. Because if I were CNN, that's what I would do. I would send Amy Schumer to sit and shove cake in her face at every White House briefing, and then with a stuffed mouth full of lard, she'll say, "Oh, give me President Trump vagina." Like, that would be what CNN should do. Fire back, you pansies! Oh my gosh. Okay. By revoking his press credentials solely based on viewpoint and content of their speech and the protected First Amendment activity, and by affording Acosta no process to contest this decision, defendants infringe on plaintiffs' First and Fifth Amendment rights in violation of 5 U.S.C. 706(2)(d). Wherefore, they respectfully request the court enter each in the following forms of relief. Immediate restoration of Acosta's press credentials. Let's see a court order the Secret Service to restore press credentials. I would love it. I would love to see the court enforce that decision. You, the court, tell the Secret Service how to properly protect the president. I'll wait. I'll wait. John Whalen, President Trump should have punched Acosta. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Remember, I've got Super Iron Bob's alternative footage coming up in just a minute. In the alternative, immediate restoration of Acosta's press credentials pending due process. Yeah, return me to the White House pending their decision to revoke me. Nope, sorry. Like, good luck. By filing this lawsuit, you've probably extended the time that Acosta will not be allowed access to the White House even longer. Because let's say the court goes ahead and orders the Secret Service to return Acosta's press pass. Here's what's going to happen. They'll return Acosta's press pass. He'll show up. If I were president or in charge of the Secret Service, he'd show up and I'd say, hand over your press pass, moron. And then I'd hand him a letter that says, you're a giant douche nozzle. We don't want you on the grounds of the White House because we've determined you to be a threat to the president. Also, give the court our regards and watch them try and enforce their decision. Peace, homie. Get out. What do they think is going to happen? The White House, the court cannot force the Secret Service to put the president in danger. The Secret Service's job to protect the president is a overwhelming interest of the United States government. Protecting the president and his immediate family's life and safety is overwhelming. That is the highest possible interest of governmental action, believe it or not. I don't necessarily agree with that, but protecting the president and his immediate family is such an overwhelming interest that there is no interest that can overcome it. There is nothing that can overcome the Secret Service's duty to protect the president, including the Supreme Court hauling Ruth Bader Ginsburg's corpse with her marionette strings up to the White House and demanding they let them in. The Secret Service would sooner shoot the Supreme Court than let this chump back in. The court simply has no authority to tell them otherwise. And if you think they do, I've got a U.S. Army, Navy, Marine Corps, and Air Force ordered by the president who can disagree with you at their leisure. Good luck. Good luck. A declaration that the revocation of Acosta's press credentials was unconstitutional in violation of the First Amendment and the Due Process Clause of the Fifth Amendment. And here's again, even if it was, good luck getting the court to overrule the Secret Service. It's not going to happen, Jim, unless the White House says, okay, we'll let him back in. Ultimately, this is a power struggle between the executive and the judicial branch, and the judicial branch has no authority over the Secret Service. Let me repeat that. There is no authority over the Secret Service's protection of the president. Nothing is more important to the Secret Service than the protection of the president. So only if they decide otherwise. Technically, they may be able to overrule the president's decision on the issue. That's how strong their authority is in this field. And man, I hope they push it to the limit. I want the Justice Department BTFO'd. I really do. The judiciary. I want them backed off. I am drinking Casque, which is a Finnish-aged gin. So, this is a gift from my friend Keck7Go. It was a gift for, and congratulations of 10,000 subscribers. So, but I want it to happen more than anything. Because, guys, as I am so pro-free speech that it's dumb. But I know that CNN has another press correspondent in the White House. They could request any other White House correspondent, or they could request any other White House reporter. They could promote them and say that it's their job in the absence of Jim Acosta. They need to have press credentials. CNN can have their free speech all day. All day. They can do it in a heartbeat. I want the conflict between the judiciary and the Secret Service because I want to watch the Secret Service win. I really do. The judicial branch in this country has way too much power right now, and they need it to be backed down a bit. And this is a perfect opportunity for it to happen. Trump, buddy, let me telecommute. I'll be on your White House legal counsel. We'll make magic happen. We'll roll back some of that judicial power that they took, And make no mistake, guys, the judicial branch has taken it. It's not in Article 3. All right. A declaration that the revocation of Acosta's press credentials violated the Administrative Procedure Act. Oh, get bent. An order granting plaintiffs costs, fees, and disbursements incurred in this connection. That's CNN. CNN, the multi-billion-dollar multinational news corporation demanding your tax dollars to defend Jim Acosta inappropriately fondling a White House staffer. Did I say fondling? I don't know. Maybe Acosta's got a thing for elbows. Looks like a pervert to me. You some kind of pervert, Jim? Well, guys, that's the lawsuit. That's the lawsuit. Oh, let me find this Super Iron Bob DM. All right. Okay, sorry, I gotta pull this up for you guys. Let's see, here we go. Now, I must warn you, this has sensitive language in it. It says kvetching. Hold on. This is what really happened. Darking D says, point of order, you're not wrong on this case, but the military is loyal to the Constitution, not the President or Congress. It's just that usually the government is established by the Constitution at the pleasure of the people who vest power into it. Under that Constitution, the President is the command. That's from Darking D, if I didn't mention. The President is the Commander-in-Chief and has plenary authority over the United States military. Now, it might be the duty of the United States military to not listen to the president's orders, to declare those orders to be against the Constitution. That is a different question. But the president certainly has plenary authority over them as commander-in-chief. It is unquestionable by the other branches of government, including the judiciary. So there is that. All right, let's watch this video. Here's the video. See what happens. Jim. I'm going to take the microphone. BAM! Let's see this one. Oh, look at that. He chops her arm right off. Sorry for the violent content. Please verify that you're over 18. That is a vicious karate chop by Acosta. All right, that's enough fun for the day. No more fun for the day. Go back to legal documents. So, again, here we have it. The question is whether or not there's a First Amendment right to the press pass. There is a First Amendment right to the press pass given the previously stated circumstances. That is a White House or a Washington, D.C. resident reporter. That is a bona fide reporter who has attained press passes for both the House and Senate of the United States, and is verified by typically a major news network as needing White House press pass because they report frequently on White House press issues. That's the status. Different in this case is Jim Acosta is both a giant cuck and also inappropriate with staffers of the White House, female staffers, and finally is not based in Washington, and maybe most importantly is not based in Washington, D.C. So there is a First Amendment right. Jim Acosta may not have it. And Trump's lawyers may argue that. They may not. They may just simply issue a letter from the Secret Service and obviate this entire action. But what that First Amendment right guarantees you is only a due process right in the revocation of said credentials. That due process right is notice and an opportunity to be heard, notice from the Secret Service for revocation based on the Secret Service's subjective determination that you are a danger to the President of the United States or his immediate family. And it is deferential to the subjective determination of the Secret Service. The only group that is able to make that determination is the Secret Service, and the court is not likely to overturn that. However, they have to give notice and an opportunity to be heard / an opportunity to appeal the decision. The appeals process, and this is confusing for people because some people believe that due process means a court case. Due process means whatever process is due. And in this case, the process that is due to someone who has been refused White House press pass is the opportunity to send a letter to the Secret Service requesting or challenging their basis for the decision that they are a danger to the President of the United States. If you do that, if the Secret Service sends you a letter that says, here's why your press pass is revoked, and you send a letter back that says, that's not cool, bro, and the Secret Service sends a letter back that says, too bad, homie, you're not coming in, that's it. You can take it to court, and the court will be deferential to the Secret Service. Period. That's how this plays out. So that's what happens here. We'll be looking for Trump's Secret Service to issue a letter to Jim Acosta. If they do that, that will make this entire lawsuit moot and pointless because they will say, well, you know, the Secret Service has determined it. That's how it goes. So that's the due process right. Violation of the Administrative Procedures Act. So what? Like, even if they do violate the Administrative Procedures Act, you're not going to overcome the Secret Service's interest in doing that. Now, should a White House press pass be a First Amendment right? No. No, 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 no. The incestuous relationship between the press and the White House, it's got to go. It's got to go. Gotta go. Get out. It started under Wilson. You want something bad? Probably started under Wilson. Wilson invited the press corps into the White House. Shouldn't have done it. Shouldn't have done it. Wilson was a megalomaniac, narcissist, pile of trash. Wilson wanted the press to come in there and gargle his balls, which they did all the time. That's what he did. He created a friendly relationship between the press and the President of the United States. That's not how it was. That's not how it should be. Period. The press and the White House should be enemies. Absolutely. There's no First Amendment right, in my opinion. There should not be a First Amendment right to a press pass. Ever. Get it out. That ruling needs to be overturned. Due process right? No. Get it out. But let me preface this in this way. The only reason that there is a First Amendment right to a press pass is because the White House voluntarily chooses to issue press passes. If the White House issued no press passes, there would be no First Amendment right to a press pass. And personally, I think that would be a better system. Make them show up at 4 a.m. and wait in line for an iPhone every day. Don't give them an easy pass to the White House. Make them be escorted by Secret Service. Make them do their jobs. And let the best, most diligent news organization win. If it's InfoWars, if Paul Joseph Watson is camped out in a tent every day saying, we're going to get into the White House today. Wait, that was terrible. That was like, that went, I'm sorry, Paul. That was worse than your terrible accent. I shouldn't do your accent while drinking. Whatever happens, if Paul Joseph Watson sits out front and says, we're going to get into the White House first, fine. Let him do it. Let him do it. If that sad, squeaky man wants to win the race every day, let him do it. if Alex Jones is going to power through the line with his natural male enhancement or super male vitality, not natural male enhancement, that's disparaging, his super male vitality, and he rips his shirt off and then throws everybody out of his way and gets in, good. Alex Jones should be the press correspondent. And it should be limited to the people who are there with the dedication to report on the White House. And if they don't want to do it, get bent. Who cares? Who cares? Why make it easier for these people? They don't like you. You shouldn't like them. So no, it should not be a First Amendment right. Really shouldn't. We shouldn't carve out special First Amendment rights for certain classes of people. Everyone should have it or no one should have it. And not everybody has a press pass. Not everybody. Like, I can't walk up and get a press pass. I would have to move to Washington, D.C., which would be horrible. I don't want to do that. I would have to get press passes to the House and Senate, and I hate all those guys, so I don't want to do that either. There's no way that should be a First Amendment right. Period. They're putting reporters in the White House to turn the freaking news gay. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys. That's that. So I'm going to open the chat for some questions because the stream is done a little earlier than I thought it would be. I'm mildly tossed, and I just had another sip of gin. So I expect that to get worse. Ask your questions sooner rather than later. Suggestion for a good whiskey. Not single malt scotch. It tastes like butt. How dare you, sir? If you think a single malt scotch tastes like butt, you haven't had the right one. Because you can't say single malt scotch tastes like butt. There's like a billion different flavors. What single malt scotches have you had? However, if you want just a good whiskey, a good bourbon is Basil Hayden's. I would start with some Basil Hayden's. That's a great bourbon. It's middle of the road. It's priced reasonably, like $40 for a bottle. That's a great place to start. Otherwise, a Michter's. Michter's is a great bourbon as well. If you don't want a bourbon whiskey, the Whistle Pig rye is a little more expensive. That's about the price of a single malt scotch. It's great. Otherwise, just go to your local, like if you can find a local distillery, go down there and try some of their different whiskeys. Take a tour of the distillery. It'll probably be pretty cool. But, okay, Heavy Fisted. I'm sorry, I know that this is a little off topic, but have you ever watched any of videos from Freedom Tunes? If not, I would suggest them for a good chuckle. No, I have not. I'll check them out sometime. If Trump decided to just cancel passes for all CNN reporters to spite for this lawsuit, would that be legal? Probably not. He'd have to cancel all press passes. The worst scotch I have ever tasted. I had a bad Lagavulin 16. Like, it was too old. It had been sitting out probably in open air and light for a while. That was horrifying. As for the worst quality scotch, it was a 10-year Glenmorangie, I think. I am not a fan. Or it might have been the Auchentoshan American Oak. Auchentoshan American Oak is disgusting. Auchentoshan. Brian Seam said, I had a good one once. I don't like the peat flavors. I like smoky and vanilla flavors in whiskey. Get a Dalwhinnie. Dalwhinnie Distiller's Edition or the 15-year. They're about $75. Might want to go to a bar and taste one if you can find a good Scotch bar. That's a good one. Or the Oban 14. Oban 14 is a little more like wine. I think what you're looking for is a Dalwhinnie. Is the world getting better or getting worse? Better. Objectively. Objectively. It's safer to be alive now than at any time in history. Is an omission of facts ever grounds for perjury? Yes. Like, how can they claim that Acosta didn't put his hands on the aid? They won't, that won't be grounds for perjury in this case. An omission of facts would be grounds for perjury in some cases. It'd have to be pretty extreme. Like they'd have to really leave out. They're going to say that putting hands on the aide meant violently attacking and that he merely touched her. I don't think that'll be a good argument, but that's what they're going to say. So that omission of facts won't be grounds for perjury in this case. Is there any standing for YouTube to keep a creator's super chats after the channel has been terminated? No. I'm wondering if they're going to do that. Have they done that to Ralph? That's a question. But no, technically that seems super illegal. Real Lady Rackets. Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. What did you give the baby to keep her up? I'm dying. Nothing. I fed her some rotisserie chicken. Let's see. Where else are we? Hey, Nick, would you ever feel like going over the copyright trademark law or procedures for us comic guys? Thanks again for what you do. Yeah, I would love to. I would love to do that. I would actually love to set up a copyright trademark procedure clinic. I'll have to talk to my friend Stephen Birch, who does IP stuff, and maybe we can put together a very good informative video. And then if you want further help, you could contact Stephen Birch. I think that would be great. He's an IP lawyer. He's a good guy. He was on the first Big Brain panel, and he is the person who you should talk to. I am not an IP attorney, and if you ask me an IP question, it usually ends up getting filtered through him in some way or another, because I'm one guy, and I recognize my limitations, unlike some other people. And when I feel it necessary, I bring in experts on subjects with frequency. Sometimes I don't tell you about them. Sometimes I do. But I try to be very, I'm not hiding it. If I don't know an answer, I'm going to go to an expert and get the answer for you. How is corporate funded media considered the press due to known biases and constant conflicts of interest? Could it be argued that they are not the press? No. The press is anybody who wants to talk about political and public issues. That's the press. So they're involved in that, even though they have biases and all that stuff. Have you tried Prickard's Sweet Lucy? It makes for great bourbon pecan pie. Never tried it. Haven't seen it around here, but I'll check out the liquor store. Is it good for drinking? How would you change the law to make it more accessible to the layperson? I'd kill all the lawyers. The law is inaccessible because lawyers are there. Notorious Moonman. Uh-oh. What do you plan on doing on stream.me? I'm going to do a weekly show on stream.me. Some of it will be content that could not be on YouTube. Some of it will be content that could be on YouTube. But I want to, if I just don't have an edgy or offensive content for the week, I'm not going to try and ham fist something in there. I want to do one stream on stream.me per week for now, to start building an audience over there, to start showing people a YouTube alternative, and importantly, to support a platform that will support people speaking freely. And then any debates that I do, I want to host over there, because I want people to be free to say whatever they want. I don't like, as much fun as it was to throw that chump off the air. I don't want to throw anybody off of the channel just because I'm worried about my own income. So stream.me will be the place for that. So spicy debates. The first stream.me show will be a live stream, and I will talk about Brandenburg versus Ohio, which the Supreme Court used to say that hate speech is protected under the First Amendment. And we will go through Brandenburg versus Ohio, and there's some real stuff in there. At what point do you think life starts, conception or implantation? I go with implantation, personally. Let's see. Sepsin Trichinosis says you should know all the things. I try, but it's not possible for me to know it all. I don't profess to be any more than I am. So, because I don't like people that do. I don't like people who pretend to know everything. And I'm certainly willing and happy to be wrong and corrected by experts all the time and further further improve my own knowledge. Nick Brain Swollen with Scott Rekieta. Brian Seam, if you have the chance, I'd like to see you cover the Peterson versus USAA case dismissal that happened in Colorado. I'd like to understand what really happened. I'll have to look at it. If you could, do me a favor, because I'm not going to remember this. Send me a Twitter DM with a link to it. Dueling Rekieta laws right now. How can we stop corporations from manipulating copyright law, preventing intellectual properties falling into the public domain? Term limits on Congress. That would help. Sadomasochist, if it's your first time and you're having vodka, get Tito's, buddy. Tito's vodka, even though it's made in Austin, which is a land of cuckery and liberalism. Tito's is a very good vodka at a very reasonable price. Have you subscribed to PewDiePie? I have not. Maybe I should. Pewds, if you're watching this, buddy, I'll think about it. And any thoughts on the Maryland red flag shooting this week? Is that the... Okay, help me out. Is the Maryland red flag shooting the nightclub? No, that was in Los Angeles. Is that the one where they shot? What's the red flag shooting? Is that the one with the security guard that got shot heavy fisted? Zidane is streaming my video on Stream Me. Zidane's a good guy. Hey, stream sniping me, rude. No, I'm just kidding, buddy. Zidane's good stuff. Been very supportive of me, and I am very supportive of him. And that's the main thing that I'm looking for right now. By the way, Zidane, if you're watching, I want to schedule my first Stream.me video so it does not interfere with the kill stream or the postmortem or Warski show. So I'm going to try and coordinate, because I want people to... I don't want to, at this time, compete for views on Stream Me. I want to make sure that my video is available at a different time than all of their stuff. What are your opinions on 23andMe/Ancestry? If you're in their system, have you pretty much screwed yourself? Yes. And I am too. Sorry, buddy. Cops tried to take a guy's gun and shot him in attempting to get it. I haven't seen it. If it's the security guard, I mean, where they shot the black security guard as he was holding someone else down, that looks pretty interesting. Doesn't the blastocyst site divide on its own accord before implantation? Yes. Isn't self-movement a determinative factor for something being alive? No. Because there are people that are alive that cannot move on their own. And prior to implantation, yeah, there's conception that occurs before implantation that gets naturally terminated all the time. And I know that after implantation, it can naturally terminate as well. I just think that's a good thing. I also think it's pretty hard to distinguish between those two things in a practical sense on the fly, so I don't know if it really matters. The red flag shooting was a 60-something-year-old man, had police show up to confiscate his guns. Officers end up shooting him. Oh, that's nice. Good. That's exactly what we said would happen. You have to go take the guns from people. And the armed security guard who was killed accidentally. Yeah, I'll probably do some videos on these pretty soon. They tried to get his gun as part of the new red flag law that lets the government take firearms from people deemed high risk. Good luck. And Andy Race Warski. And I will be hopefully talking to Andy on his show, and then he'll be coming back on my show for a segment I like to call, want to coin, whatever it is, redemption arc, where we talk about YouTubers who have gone through a transition, have maybe left the platform for a bit and come back. Not necessarily YouTubers, but content creators who've either stopped creating content for a while and come back, or have gone through some massive transformative change and are looking to tell the story about it. I think that'll be interesting. Hopefully it'll be a very honest and forthright discussion of mistakes they made and changes they want to make in the future. But look for that. Guys, I'm winding out of energy here. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna go and try and help Lady Rackets with this baby, and we'll see you guys in the future. Thanks for watching. Jim Acosta is an idiot, and he should be revoked from the White House for life. He can go, assert his freedom of the press anywhere else, covering any other topic. Good job, Jim. Go cover China. Go cover the dictator of North Korea. I don't know. Go study the killing fields of Burma for all of our sakes. Go cover ISIS, Jim. Any idea what's going on in Comicsgate since the debate? It seems to change daily. Nope. It seems to change daily. Have you covered Jordan, the JBP or Lindsay Shepard versus Laurier lawsuit? No. All right. There we go. All right, guys. I'm going to blank out the screen. As soon as I see it go blank on my end, I'll end the stream. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for Russell Greer, Chapter 5. The Lips will probably make an appearance. Sriracha will make an appearance. We'll have a good, fun time. Come do that stream and make fun of a very horrible individual with me. Thanks, guys. Peace.